Hey guys, this is Heretic, and whether it's Frenzy, Void, Fortress Wars, Elite Adventures, Territory Defense, etc., having an excellent event leader is critical to the success of your alliance. In this video, I'm going to go over the top 10 things that you need to do to run your events efficiently, effectively, and to make the most out of them. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, the number one thing you need to know is you need to know when events occur and when you can actually run them. So for example, let's take a look at the Elite Adventures. For one, you want to do this, every week. And so if you go into Elite Adventures, and this is a brand new alliance, that's the reason you're seeing it from the beginning like this. But here, you can't run it on Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, or during Elite Wars. And the challenge times reset on Sunday at 0, right? So you need to do it at least once a week. In all of the alliances that I've been in War and Order, we've always done Elite Adventures on the weekend because usually we have coverage, almost 24 hours of players in their time zones. And weekends kind of works the best for the majority of people because even if you're up late at night or early in the morning, you can adapt a little bit more than if it was during the week and you have school or work or whatever. All right, so number one, know when events are available to run and when you can't run them. Number two, know when your alliance is the most active. So what I like to do is I like to look at, I'll go in and just see how many people are online at given times during the day and during the week. And I try to measure events and when we do them by that. So if I see 20, 30, 40 people online at a certain time, I know I could even get more than that if I'm annoying and we schedule this in advance. But knowing when most people are normally online is going to be the best way to judge when you should do your events. Now, if you have kind of an even distribution between European players and people that are in the Americas, then you may have to kind of flip events, but I don't like to do that. And that's why weekends work the best for most events. When you get into your Elite Wars, your Fortress Wars, you're gonna have less of a chance to do those on weekends only, especially Fortress Wars. So you're going to have to plan them in a way that works for the majority of people, and you really have to know that. It's critical to know when your alliance is the most active, not just for events, but for everything else. Number three, it's critical that you communicate the event times in advance of everything happening. So you can't just like the day of an event say, oh, we're going to do Elite Adventures at 1 o'clock today. In the end, that's going to hurt your alliance because people need to plan. People like to know in advance when things are going to happen. You're going to have the biggest turnout if you actually plan these things in advance, and even more so if you do them at the same time every week. Then everyone just knows, 1 o'clock on Saturday, 1 o'clock on Sunday, or whatever, we're going to do an event. They'll be there. You'll get a bigger turnout and you'll make people happy. If you just do it at the last minute, you're going to have a lot of upset people. Don't do that. Also, when you're running an event, don't assume that everyone knows everything. Explain it each time, the basics. All right. Number four, annoy people to get in game for the events. Have an alerts channel, send a message to everyone, call, do whatever you have to do to get people in the game for the events. The more people who attend, the better it's going to be, especially the people who said they're going to be there. So we'll send out posts on important events like Elite Wars, like super important that we have everyone online. And when people say they're going to be there, then we have to go back through and reach out to those people, 10, 20, 30 minutes before the event to make sure that they're going to be there. Number five, and this is super critical too, know the event. The person who's leading the event needs to know what the event is. if you're new to the game, if your whole alliance is new to the game and you don't know what territory defense is, you can go through these tutorials that'll kind of walk you through it. But you can also look online for videos that kind of explain the event to you. So don't go in completely unaware. Now, the one time where this can be a little bit difficult is if it's a brand new event that's added to the game. In that case, you're all going to be learning together. But don't be afraid. Don't miss out and actually looking for those events online, especially the day after it comes out or something, so that you're able to find more information about it to give your team the best chance to actually being successful at it. Number 6, know who is actually going to be participating on your team. Are your strongest players missing from the event? Are they not going to be able to attend? Or are they? Who is actually going to be there? Do you have mostly inexperienced players that are going to attend, or do you have people who have done this 100 times? Right? That'll make a huge difference in the way that you approach your events. All right. Number 7, know your opponent. If you're competing against an alliance, against another realm, who is it that you're going to compete against? Go out and do a little bit of research on them. If it's Elite Wars, what's their history? Have you fought against them in the past? If you haven't, what is their record? Who usually participates? If you can find that out, that's very useful. All right. Number 8, create teams within the event. This goes for almost every event. For example, in Elite Wars or Elite Adventures, having a team that flanked or multiple teams that flank is really important. So those are the people who are going to go around the edges, and then you have the majority of your players maybe will go down the center. It depends on how you set it up, right? But knowing, having a divided team can help a lot. So in any game, when you're leading a big team, breaking down that team into different groups ahead of time is very beneficial, because it makes it a lot easier to manage it on the fly. So if you have 80 people in an event and you need to do something, it's a lot easier to say north team speed to such and such castle than naming each person individually on the fly, which is nearly impossible for me, at least. Also, when you do these teams, usually like for Elite Wars mostly, and for Fortress Wars as well, by having a team that has a lot of speeds, typically will speed a lot anyway, putting them all on a team makes a lot of sense, because you don't want the majority of your players to feel like that they have to use a lot of speeds to be able to succeed. And if you and having that group that does have the speeds will be really important for you to be able to make quick attacks and move around and do different things within events. But don't break your team by trying to force everybody to speed. That's not going to work out for the long haul, and it will destroy the morale. All right. Number 9, clear communications so that one single leader can run the event. Clear chat. No one talks. 0 people talk. It's better to fail and let that leader learn than it is for a lot of people to be talking in the chat and no one, the team as a whole doesn't know who to follow. Never argue, right? If you have a couple different R4s and they're both experienced and one, says we should do this, it can actually make it more likely that you're going to fail. It's a lot better to wait until after the event and then discuss it as a team outside of Alliance chat than it is to argue during an event or put out multiple different instructions, which adds a lot of confusion. You're going to end up losing events because of that. So it's very common, extremely common, when an event starts, everyone else just, they're completely quiet and the event leader is given complete run of the chat. All right, number 10, know when to push and when to take it easy. If you know that you're going to lose, because you don't have enough players, because your strongest players are offline. The other team has some player that is completely maxed out, and there's just no way that you're really going to win. Play the event, but don't waste speeds. Let your team know, hey, listen, we're probably going to lose this. Don't waste speeds. Don't try to heal all of your troops. Don't sacrifice when you don't really need to. Save your gems, save your money, live to fight another day. Because in the next event, the tables may be turned. It may be a closer fight where you're going to have to speed. We're going to have to use some gems to heal up some troops. You want to be able to do that by speeding in the event that you're going to probably lose anyway. In the next event where, it may have made the difference that your team, would have had the gems for that. So be careful. Know your opponent. Again, it goes back to number 7. Know your opponent. Know what you're working with. And make good decisions as you go. All right, so that's the top 10 things you can do to be successful in your events, in your alliance. And these events are super critical to your alliance. You may think, territory defense is, the rewards maybe aren't that great or whatever, because you may be someone who spends. You're going to have the majority of the players in your alliance, no matter what alliance you're in, are either going to be non-spenders or they're going to be low spenders. So taking care of them is going to take care of your alliance as a whole. So don't give up on that. So make sure you keep that in mind, that these events both bring your alliance together as a team, and they also help reward the people who are not spending in the game. All right, so with that, take care, leave feedback, and I'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye.